Are you ready? Okay, Parasha's Emor. So I'll repeat the last thing that I just said now. That the students of Rabbi Akiva, they died. Those 33 days. Why did they die? Because they didn't show kavod. If you don't show kavod, is the punishment death? He said no, the punishment is not death. So why did they die? So the answer we gave is that they were so respected that when they didn't show kavod, it was a chilul Hashem. And when you make a chilul Hashem, that the punishment is death for. Everybody looked to them as role models. And therefore we have to be very careful. When we walk the streets, and if we're wearing a yarmulke, and if we have our tzitzis out, and then as you said, we walk out of Costco. Or, I'll give you another example. Here you're a frum person, a religious person, walking down the street on Shabbos, and all of a sudden you start yelling at your wife. Okay? You start yelling at your wife. Now, people are walking by, and they don't want to get involved. But a Ben Torah does not do that. A Ben Torah does not yell at his wife. And if you do that, and an hour earlier you were in shul and you davened the Shemona Esrei for 25 minutes, that's a chilul Hashem. You may be angry, but you have no excuse. And that's what the students of Rabbi Akiva did. And that's something we have to be very, very careful about. That's something that is really something that we have to watch over to make sure that these things don't happen. And that's why the students of Rabbi Akiva died. Of course, we celebrate Lag BaOmer because, not that they stopped dying, all of them had died already, but because Rabbi Akiva started over again. And when a person is knocked down and gets up, brushes themselves off and goes on, that's something we celebrate. That's what we celebrate. Okay, let's go a little bit further. We asked last week a very difficult question. There were many other great leaders amongst the Jewish people. There was Rabbi Gamliel, there was Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. They all lived at the same time as Rabbi Akiva. They all had students. None of their students died. Yeah. The students of Rabbi Akiva died. So there must have been something in the educational approach of Rabbi Akiva that did not generate respect, which is very hard to understand, because Rabbi Akiva was the one who said, love your neighbor like yourself, zeh klal gadol shabator. So there's a very interesting Gemara. There's a machlokas in the Gemara in Kiddushin. Rabbi Gladstone talks about this at length. The Gemara says as follows: Bonim atem la Hashem. You are children of Hashem. So Rabbi Yehuda says, when you act like a child in the respectful manner, you're Hashem's children. But when you act with rebellion, Hashem says, I don't know you. Okay? Hard to understand. You're at the park with your kids. You're at the park with your grandchildren. All of a sudden your grandchildren start misbehaving. So someone says, hey, who's the father of this? Are you their father? Not me. I'm just watching them today. I'm not their father. If you're a father, you're a father whether the kids are good or not good, right? You take the good with the bad. How would you like it if your father says, what, him? No, my kid. I have nothing to do with him. I don't want to know him. Right? It doesn't work that way. Rab Meir says, even when you don't keep the Torah mitzvahs, you're still children of Hashem. So Rab Meir disagrees. And he finds 4 different psukim, and eventually even Rabbi Akiva agrees with Rab Meir, and therefore the halacha is like Rabbi Meir. Normally the halacha is not like Rabbi Meir. So this is what Rabbi Akiva said. Rabbi Akiva said, we're a group. We're all part of the group. Nobody's better than the other person. There's a Gemara that says you have 3 people benching, you say Rabbatai Nevarech. What happens if you have 10 people benching?
Okay.
Nevarech Elokeinu. What happens if you have 100 people benching? Nevarech Hashem Elokeinu. If you have 1,000 people, Nevarech Hashem Elokeinu V'Elokei Yisrael. If you have 10,000 people, the Gemara goes through all different things you add. Rabbi Akiva says, you know what? We don't add anything. 3, 100, 1,000, 10,000, all the same. So the Shem Yishmu says something fascinating. If you grow up in the Beis Medrash, where the Rebbe says, every Jew is the same, every Jew is important, every Jew is special, everybody's the same. Can I respect you more than me? Do I respect you more than him? No. There's no respect. The whole idea of respect is when I realize that you're special, you're different. You've done something I wish I could do. You've done something I look up for, too. That means if I say, no matter what you do, we're all the same. Nobody's better. Nobody's different.
You don't feel good.
Then there's no respect.
Communism.
Then it's socialism. That's right. Someone said it was democracy. I says, no, it's not democracy. It's socialism. Right? And we know that didn't work in the end. That didn't work in the end.
Yeah, everybody thinking different.
That didn't work in the end. So it's very fascinating. It's very fascinating. Rabbi Akiva believed, love your neighbor like yourself. Of course. You and me are the same. It's not that I should love you more than myself. We're the same. If everybody's the same, who says you get to sit up front? I get to sit up front. Who says you get to talk first? I get to talk first. Who says I should stand up for you? You should stand up for me. We should stand up for each other. If everybody's the same, if I take everybody and I make you equal to the lowest common denominator, there's no respect. And when there's no respect, there's no way to grow. Lag BaOmer, the 18th day of Iyar. Now, I'm going to ask you, whose yortzeit is it? Everybody's going to say, oh, it's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We're not really sure about that. But there is someone else who died that day, the Ramah. I don't know if you know this. Rav Moshe Yisraelis, the commentary in the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah, his yortzeit, always falls out in Parshas Emor, which is interesting, because Emor spelled Aleph Mem Resh. Spell it backwards. What does it spell? Ramah. It's fascinating. You spell the word Emor backwards. Resh Mem Aleph spells Ramah. It's fascinating. Can't make this stuff up. Right? Can't make this stuff up.
So he died at the same time.
He died on Lag BaOmer.
23rd day.
As a matter of fact, I looked it up, and where did I write it down? His yortzeit was May 11th, 1572. So that's about 400 or 500 years ago. Came out to be the 18th day of Iyar, 5332. 1572 is about 400 some odd years. The Ramah.
18 Iyar.
He died 18 Iyar, 5332. The Ramah passed away. So it's fascinating.
Yesterday.
That was yesterday. That's correct. That is correct. It says, Isha zona v'chalola lo yikochu. A Kohen cannot marry a woman who is a zona or chalolo. The Chidah was a Kohen. What was his last name? Azulai. What did Azulai spell? Isha zona v'chalola lo yikochu.
Wow.
Right?
You told us that?
I told you this last year, right? Now, let's say, for example, you have to understand, what does it mean a woman is a zona? It doesn't mean that she has many partners, because a Kohen can marry a woman who has had many partners. What a Kohen cannot marry is a woman who had a relationship with a non-Jew. Okay?
Again?
A Kohen cannot marry a girl who was maybe a balash tshuva. She wasn't religious growing up, and she had a relationship, a sexual relationship with a non-Jew.
If it was a Jew, it will be okay.
It's okay. Okay? So many people who are balai tshuva, that means they were not religious growing up, women, and now they're religious,
Not married.
and they go dating. So sometimes on the websites, they'll ask them the question, they don't want to get personal, but they ask the question, are you allowed to date a Kohen? And either she'll say yes or she'll say no. If she says no,
That's something wrong.
means that she had a relationship with someone maybe not Jewish. Okay, we don't ask anything further. There's a famous story with the Tzitz Eliezer, Rabbi of Oldenburg, that there was this girl who was not religious growing up, and then she became religious, and she married a Kohen. And she's married, has a few children, and she goes to a shir on Parshas Emor, and the rabbi says that if you had a relationship with a non-Jew, you cannot marry a Kohen. And she realized that she had a relationship with a non-Jew, and she's married to a Kohen. So now she goes to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, what am I supposed to do now? I'm married, I have 2 children. Do I stay married? Do I have to get divorced? What's the halacha? So Rabbi of Oldenburg says, very interesting, he says, we don't believe her. That means because she's married, maybe she's unhappy in the marriage, and this is her way to get out. So since there was never a bet din that convened, that made a decision that she's mutter or not mutter to a Kohen, when you don't have witnesses, and many times you don't have witnesses, so therefore we don't believe her, and we leave everything alone. It's interesting halacha. Halacha is very fascinating how it functions and how it works. They bring down that a Kohen Gadol cannot marry a widow. A regular Kohen can marry a widow. The Kohen Gadol cannot. He cannot marry even a widow. And it brings down over here, I told you this once before, but the Otzer Pelos HaTorah brings down what I once said to you. Why? Because let's say you're the Kohen Gadol, and there's this very pretty girl that you would like to marry. There's only one problem. She's married. She has a husband.
You pray for tonight.
So what do? When you go on Yom Kippur into the Kodesh Kedoshim, and you're there before the Aron Kodesh, you're in the holiest place, on the holiest day.
You pray.
And whatever you say will happen, besides saying, forgive all the Jews and everything else, oh, by the way, there's this girl there, her name is Miriam Rabinowitz. I'd really like to marry her, but she's married. Could you take care of the problem for me? And the next day, her husband drops dead, and then all of a sudden he says, now, this is really strange, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the Kohen Gadol.
Kodesh
right?
Kedoshim.
In the Kodesh Kedoshim, on Yom Kippur, not just any day of the week, and he's supposed to be thinking about the Jews, all their Averot, the Kapara, the 2 goats, and what's he thinking about? Miriam Rabinowitz. Whoever Miriam Rabinowitz is, it's just a made-up name. So he wants to say that maybe we were talking about the Kohanim Gedolim in the second Beit HaMikdash. Because the second Beit HaMikdash, every year they changed the Kohen Gadol because every time he went in, he dropped dead anyway. So he was thinking about things he shouldn't have been thinking about. Maybe that's why he dropped dead. In the first Beit HaMikdash, they want Shmirat Tzadikim. But the fact remains that the Torah said people are human. That even the Kohen Gadol can make mistakes. Is human. And therefore, if he would drop dead husband, he still can't marry her.
Is the Kohen Gadol allowed to marry the girl if she was with the
Husband
had a relationship with the Jew?
That's a very good question. He's supposed to marry a girl who's never had a relationship before.
13 years old, 12.
Right, 12 or 13, whatever. That's the idea. Okay? Never got married before. But, it's difficult.
Never even touched by the
Correct.
Because it's holy man.
If that's possible.
Even
I consider you a holy man, so what am I supposed to do?
I'm Levi.
I know. We're probably related. That's why I consider you holy. I figured if you're holy, I could get holy through you. Okay,
Right.
listen to the next thing. Very interesting pasuk on Yom Kippur. It says, "Batisha lachodesh ba'erev." You should fast on the 9th of Tishrei at night. Bless you. Me'erev ad erev, from night to night. So we learn out a bunch of things here. First of all,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
we start fasting on the 9th of Tishrei. Yom Kippur falls out on the 10th.
All right.
So we learn out a few laws here. Number one, we always start Yom Kippur before sunset,
Yes.
right? That means the fast does not begin at sunset.
We're starting.
We do Kol Nidrei 20 minutes before sunset. And the fast does not end at sunset, but we do like Shabbat, we keep 42 or 60 or 72, whatever it is. We keep a certain amount of time. Then the Torah asks the question, it seems to imply that we fast on the 9th. And then it says we fast on the 10th. So when do we fast? Do we fast on the 9th or do we fast on the 10th? So the Gemara says, we fast on the 10th. But whoever eats on Erev Yom Kippur on the 9th, it's like you fasted 2 days.
You gotta eat 5 minutes.
Right? So it's bizarre. Yom Kippur is Wednesday. So you eat all Tuesday, that counts like you fasted 1 day. Then you fast on Wednesday, now you fasted 2 days. So there's a lot of different opinions. The Shalah HaKodesh says something fascinating. He says when you eat Erev Yom Kippur, it's good for the body, but bad for the neshama, because the neshama doesn't like all that food. So you're torturing your neshama on Tuesday. When you fast on Wednesday, the neshama loves that, but the body doesn't love it. So since we're made up of a body and soul, so when you eat, the soul gets kapara. And when you fast, the body gets kapara. That's how it works 2 days. Because eating is like fasting, when we daven mincha, Erev Yom Kippur, it's not Yom Kippur yet, what do we add in mincha? Slicha. We ask the al-chetz, and we do Hashem, we do the whole vidui.
Yeah, big win.
We do all the vidui. The halacha says we do vidui because we're afraid someone will be so hungry and will put the food in so fast, they'll choke at the Suda HaMafseket. So we do the vidui Erev Yom Kippur. But according to this, if the 9th counts like a fast day, so it makes sense that we do vidui. When do Ashkenazim daven the same Shemona Esrei Erev Yom Kippur in the year?
For the wedding.
For a wedding, but the day they get married.
Yeah.
They daven the same Shemona Esrei, like Erev Yom Kippur with the vidui.
Yeah.
Why? Because Hashem forgives their
All
avedot.
avedot, yeah.
Right. And that's why we have the minhag that a chatan kala fast. Certain days we don't fast, but they fast. Okay. The Rashi and the Tur says as follows. Very interesting. I once told this to you, but we'll go over it again. A person comes up to Shamayim after 120 years. So Hashem says to the guy, so tell me, how old are you? He says, I'm 100 years old. Really? He says, well, that's not what we have over here. He says, why not? I live to be 100. He says, yeah, but half the time you were sleeping, so we don't count that. So now you're only 50. And then half the times you were eating, so that's 25 years. By the time you're through, you're 10 years old. So how do you get around this? You get around this that when you go to sleep at night, you say, you think, I'm going to sleep, so I should have the strength tomorrow to daven and learn and go to a shiur. Now the sleeping counts.
Oh, wow.
That's called hechsher mitzvah. The preparation for the mitzvah counts. So Rashi and the Tur say as follows. If I'm eating on Tuesday, Erev Yom Kippur, why am I eating extra?
Fasting.
To get ready for the fast.
Yes.
So therefore my eating counts. It's like I fasted. Because what I do in preparation for the mitzvah is like the mitzvah. That's how I get 2 days fast. So that's what Rashi and the Tur says. There's a sefer Shivule Leket. The Aruch HaShulchan also brings this down. Believe it or not, a strange thing. He says that if a person overeats and then doesn't eat the next day, the fast is much harder. It's like your stomach is bigger, so you think you're storing food. You really can't store food. When people run, to do the marathon, and they want to store energy, they eat a very special type of food. You know what food they eat? Pasta. They eat noodles. Because pasta stays longer, gives you energy, right? But if a person, has caffeine, they drink 4 cups of coffee. So Erev Yom Kippur, they drink 8 cups of coffee. What's going to happen the next day, man? They're going to be in trouble. They're going to have a headache, like you can't believe, caffeine withdrawal. So the Shvulei Leket and the Aruch HaShulchan say that by eating more on Erev Yom Kippur, you're making the fast harder. By making the fast harder, it counts like 2 days. That's his approach to the answer. But there's a lot of very interesting answers as to why, eating makes up a difference. Okay, look what it says over here. I started this year with the words of the pasuk. It says, "Ushmartem mitzvosai," watch my commandments and then do them. So the Chasam Sofer brings a very interesting thing. He says you have two different types of people in the world. You have people who do mitzvos, and you have people who have such a burning desire that if they can't do the mitzvah, they're in torture, they're in pain. So I'll give you an example. You come home the first night of Sukkot, not even the first night, the second night, but let's say the first night. You daven in shul, you come home, everybody's waiting for you, you want to go into the sukkah, and it's pouring rain out there. Now, according to the halacha, you're supposed to wait to see if it stops raining. Now you have two types of people. The first guy says, well, we're going to eat in the house. And the kids say, Abba, we want to eat in the sukkah. He says, yeah, but the halacha says that if you're raining, you're potter. So we get to eat in the house. Okay, that's one person. Then you have the person who every 5 minutes jumps up and looks out the window to see if it stopped raining. Why? He's allowed to eat in the house, but he doesn't want to eat in the house. He wants to eat in the sukkah. So the first guy is following halacha. He's keeping the mitzvahs. He's following ushmartem. He's watching it. The second guy is not happy with that. He wants to do the mitzvah. He wants to eat in the sukkah. You see the difference between the two people? The first guy likes to slide by. If he can get away with something, that's okay. The second guy doesn't want to get away with anything. The second guy wants to have the ability to do the mitzvahs whenever he can.
They usually say the first night of service, you gotta try to.
That's right, you gotta try.
Make Kiddush in the service.
That's correct. But I'm trying to give you an idea of a personality. There are some people who, if they're patur, they're exempt, they're thrilled. They don't have to be bothered, they don't have to schlep the dishes, they don't have to go out to the sukkah. But there are other people who don't want an excuse. They want to do the mitzvah the way it's supposed to be. So then they bring down, Rabbi Ephraim brings this down from Rabbi Uziel Molevsky. I knew his father very well. I learned by his father. I have a smicha from his father. Rabbi Uziel Molevsky, unfortunately, passed away very young. He says something very interesting. He says, the Gemara says that Eov was tortured. It says Eov wanted to turn the plate upside down. That's what the Gemara says. What does that mean? So the Gemara explains. You have a king who is a wonderful person. Everybody respects him. All of a sudden, one day, he snaps. Something's wrong. And everybody he screams at, he yells at. Comes one of the servants who's serving food, and I guess a little of the soup spills, and the king gets so angry that he screams at him and says, "That's it! Off with your head! Take him out and hang him! Cut off his head!" Now, the king would never kill someone for spilling a little bit of soup. So what does the servant do? He takes the bowl of soup and he turns it over all over the king. He dumps it all over the king. So in jail, when they're about to take him out to be hung, the king comes down and says to him, Moshe, why did you do that? Your whole life you were my servant, you never once did that. Why would you do it? He says, Your Majesty, let me explain to you. I spilled a little bit of soup. And you told me, off with his head, you're going to kill me. If people hear that you killed a person for spilling a little bit of soup, they're going to rebel. They won't want you as their king anymore. So I figured I might as well spill all the soup on him. Now people will say I deserve getting killed. And they'll blame me and not you. So Eov said the same thing. Eov says, people are looking to me. Eov, you were such a big tzaddik, and you did such wonderful things, and you had such a wonderful family, and you gave such tzedakah. And look what happened to you. What kind of a God would do that? There must be no God. So Eo says, better I curse God. So when people hear me curse Hashem, they'll say, now I know why Eov is having these problems. The Gemara goes further. David HaMelech wanted to worship idols. Till Hushai Ha'arki, his good friend, says, what are you doing? What do you mean you're going to worship idols? So David HaMelech says, I have a son, Avshalom, he's rebelling. What are people going to say? What kind of a father was I that I raised a son who wants to kill me? Better I worship idols. Then people will say, Avshalom wants to kill him, he deserves to die. So Hushai says, no, you're making a mistake, David. Avshalom was the product of a Yafas Torah. You married this girl that wasn't Jewish, you took her, and that's why you have the son that you have. You made a mistake. Don't worship idols. People are not going to believe it, and it's not going to make a difference. So he says that we see from here that the Gemara is full of examples of stories of people who were so worried, what people might say, that the great tzaddikim, not for us to understand, they would do certain averot, right? Just so Hashem should not be blamed. Very interesting. Okay. By the psukim of a Kohen, there's a pasuk. I once told you this years ago. It says, V'kidash to. You have to make the Kohen special. Ki eslachem elokecha hu makri. If he brings Hashem's food, he brings the korbanot. How do we make a Kohen special? What do we do to make the Kohen special? Give me some examples of what we do.
Wash his hands.
Well, when he does Birkat
does
Kohanim,
zimun.
the Levi washes his hands.
He does zimun. He does.
When you do Birkat HaMazon, if there's a Kohen, he gets the first choice. If you don't honor the Kohen, then you say B'shut HaKohanim. You mention his name. In Shul, what does the Kohen get?
First,
The first Aliyah, right? If you're in Shul, the first Aliyah goes to the Kohen. The second Aliyah goes to the Levi, and then it goes to everybody else. So listen to this question that came before the Maharik. In the community of the Maharik, there was a shul, very interesting, that on the first Shabbos of the year, right after Sukkot, what's the first Shabbos? Bereshis, right? The first Aliyah to start the Torah reading, Parshas Bereshis, for the new cycle, they would auction off. And they would make $10,000. People would pay a high price to get the first Aliyah.
The same thing in here.
They auction off the first Aliyah.
Chatan Torah, Chatan
That's on Simchas Torah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's different. Because that's after everybody got their Aliyot. But now the next Shabbos, Shabbos Bereshis, Chag is over. Who gets the first Aliyah?
Kohen.
Kohen, not by here. In this community, the Shabbos
Which
after,
community?
by the Maharik,
Oh,
in his community in Vilna, it says in Italy, it was a small town in Italy. They used to auction off the first Aliyah Shabbos Bereshis. And they would tell the Kohanim, if you want the Aliyah, buy it, or daven someplace else. But if you come to our shul, we're going to ask you to step out. If you don't step out, we're still going to give the Aliyah to somebody else. Well, for years it worked that way, until one year there was a Kohen in the shul who says, I'm not stepping out, and I'm not paying for it. I'm the only Kohen here. It belongs to me. It's a pasuk in the Torah. So the president of the shul says, no, but our custom, this is our custom, our minhag. He says, you can have the nicest customs in the world, but the halacha is brought down in Shulchan Aruch. In Shulchan Aruch it says, who gets the first aliyah? Kohen. That's my aliyah. So you can sell it to whoever you want, but I'm getting that aliyah. And the rabbi said no. And the president said no. And they went to a din Torah to the Maharik. So what did the Maharik say? So the Maharik said that the shul is right, and therefore they have the right to sell the aliyah. Because since that was the custom, this Kohen knew, And if he wanted the aliyah so bad, he should have gone to a different shul.
Buy it. Or buy it.
Or buy it. Now this is shocking. This is shocking. So he says, how is it possible? How is it possible? The Torah says you have to give him kedusha, holiness. So he says, let me give you an example, okay? Shabbos morning, the rabbi or the gabbai, they're about to do kriyas HaTorah, says, are there any Kohanim here? Because he doesn't see any Kohanim in the group. And a stranger in the room says, I'm a Kohen. Okay. Does he get the first aliyah? Yes. Do we know he's a Kohen? How do we know? Does he have a card that says, I'm a Kohen? See? I'm a Kohen? Doesn't have a card. We trust him. In the olden days, they didn't. If a guy says, I'm a Kohen, would you give him truma? No. Would you use him for pidyon haben? No. Will you check these things out? But to give him an aliyah in the shul. Now you gave him the aliyah, and it comes out after Shabbat, you find out, he's no Kohen. He's not even a Levi. He just wanted the aliyah. He faked you all out. Did you violate the halacha? No. Because what did you do? You made him holy. The fact that he tricked you is on him, not on you. You followed the rules. He says that he brings down, the Maharik brings down from the Mishnah Brura, that he says that even though the Kohen gets the first aliyah, because that's the pasuk, but the minhag of the shul to sell the aliyah is also out of respect. And everybody was part of that decision. And if everybody's part of that decision, are you giving the aliyah to this guy to disrespect the Kohen? No. You're not trying to disrespect the Kohen. You're following the custom. And therefore he says, you're following the custom wins. You should just know that many times the customs are much times stronger, more powerful than the din. You don't do that. You don't sell the first aliyah. Now you're thinking about it. I see those wheels turning.
We don't have, when we don't have the Kohen, we sell the first aliyah. We sell the first aliyah.
So if you don't have a Kohen in the shul, on any week you sell the first aliyah. You don't give it to a Levi.
We give it to the Levi. We give it to the Levi. He buys instead of the Levi, he buys the Kohen. We allow those
Okay.
things, right? And
You can do whatever you want.
Because Moshiach come, the old lady
Rabbi,
gonna be one of the.
They're gonna be Kohen.
I'm not sure.
Rabbi Yosef says that it should be Kohen Levi Israel, and now if the Kohen wants to do it again, it's again Kohen Levi Israel. But according to the Ramah,
We don't do that.
you don't do that.
No.
Rabbi Yosef writes it should be Kohen Levi Israel, Kohen Levi Israel.
We don't do that.
But according to the Sephardim, it's possible to be lenient.
You might be. We give acharon, after the 7 aliyot, we make an extra aliyah and we give that to the Kohen. Or we give mafta to the Kohen.
Now, the Bukhari have the Musif, so they call the Musif, like the
Right.
Shishi, and 3 pasukim before the Let Shvi, 10 people could read it.
Correct.
Rabbi Yosef is against it, but the Bukhari minhag is to do it.
We don't do it. We
The
try
Ashkenazim
it.
do
We don't
it,
like
but
to do it
in the
either.
Bukhari community, they do it, even though Rabbi Yosef says it's not a good minhag to do it and it should be nullified. I said it, they said it's going to be a big fight because they've been doing it for many years. According to the Lachai, it shouldn't be done.
It shouldn't be done. But if that's the
Shouldn't be
minog, is it worth the fight? Probably not.
Divrei
What if the one Kohen,
Right?
and he reads the first one in Kohen,
Right?
and he always reads the 6th aliyah.
Why?
This is his custom.
He gets 2 aliyot? I hope he
When
pays
it's,
for
when
it.
it's no coins, he reads first, and the 6th is his always.
Always.
He's a rabbi.
Chashuv, Ali. 6 is Chashuv.
And they say the 3rd and the 6th are.
If another coins, he gives the first one.
And then he
Six.
takes the 6th.
6 always his.
And he's a Kohen.
He's a coin.
Okay, see, we don't do that. The Ashkenazim, the Kohen gets first, and that's it. He doesn't get to the end. He can get them after.
If no coins, he reads first, and then 6 also
Wow.
is.
But according to the halacha, the aliyah is to get the Birkat Torah was made for the tzibur, for the congregation. before they didn't do bracha. They didn't have before Kohen Levi Israel. Before they didn't.
Right.
They only did it because of the Lechot Tzibur, in honor of the Tzibur.
And in honor of the Kohen.
In honor of the Kohen. Well, meaning everybody, Kohen Levi Israel. But before, nobody read the bracha. Like let's say the Melech would read the book of the
That was different.
He would read in the Beit Mikdash
Right.
without the.
That's correct. There's some people made the first bracha and the last one made the last bracha. But our minhag today is to do, each one makes it his own bracha. Okay. There are 6 mitzvos that since it says the word lochem, the Gemara says you have to stand when you do these mitzvos. There are 6 mitzvos that you're supposed to do standing. What are they? Lulav and esrog, because it says, that's one. Lulav and esrog, you're right also. It says, ulakaktem lochem b'yom harishon. Tzitzit, v'yehoyo lochem letzitzit. That's 2. Tzitzit is the, you put on the talit, standing up. What's the next one? Birkat kohanim, not a mitzvah in here. Sfirat ha'omer. Usfaratem lochem. We stand up for Sfirat ha'omer. Kiddush levana. HaChodesh hazeh lochem. Rosh Chodeshim. So when we bless the new moon, we stand up. Okay? Shofar. When they blow shofar in shul, it says, Yom Teruah yeh lochem. So everybody stands for Tkiyat shofar in shul. When you shake the lulav and esrog, it says, L'kaktem lochem b'yom harishon. So the lulav and esrog. So we have Sfirat ha'omer, Kiddush lavona, tzitzit, shofar, lulav. That's 5. The 6th one, that we have a mitzvah, that when we do this mitzvah, we're standing, is Brit Milah. When we do a Brit Milah, Himo lachem kol zachar. So we do the Brit Milah, everybody stands.
Watching.
You know, so either they're watching or whatever it is, but everybody stands for the Brit Milah. On Shavuot, we have a custom to eat milchiks. Not every meal. There's 4 meals. Some people eat 1 meal, because we still have a mitzvah to eat meat. Where's the minhag? So there's all different sources for the minhag. That when they got the Torah, they didn't have any kosher meat, so they had to eat milk. They didn't have any kosher pots and pans. He brings down the Ramah. Okay, they brings this down, and everybody wants to know where it comes from. So they bring down a Gemara that the day Moshe Rabbeinu was put into the Nile was on Shavuot. And when the daughter of Paro found him, he was crying. So they figured he was hungry. So they wanted him to nurse, to give him milk. But he refused, because he only wanted his mother, and then they brought his mother. So because of the miracle that Moshe, when he was taken out, although he was hungry and crying, only nursed by his mother, we have a minute to eat milchiks on Shavuos. That's what's brought down. It's a very fascinating answer. It's a little bit different than the answers that are given, that you didn't have any kosher food, and you didn't have any kosher pots and pans. You know, these are some of the answers that are given. A little bit of an unusual answer. That's where they give it. Okay. On Sukkot, what are the sukkah? So one opinion is the clouds, the Anri HaKavod. Okay, so that's, if it's the Anri HaKavod, I understand that it's a big miracle. But if it's that they built these little houses for themselves, what's so special about building houses? We have people today that build houses, you know, it's not so special. So he answers that the houses that they built, they didn't build it. They found them. Hashem sent them from Shemayim. The same way the clouds came from Shemayim, the Sukkot, the houses came from Shemayim. I told you last year that why is Sukkot 7 days? Because there were 7 clouds. On all 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 on top, 6, 1 on the bottom, and 1 that led them in the desert at night with fire. So there were 7 clouds. Because there were 7 clouds, they were able to do it. He has a question here. In the Beit HaMikdash, did the Kohanim eat on Sukkot in a sukkah? He says no, because in the Beit HaMikdash they didn't have houses, they didn't have a sukkah. So when they were doing the avoda, they did not eat in the sukkah. They ate whatever they ate. It was only afterwards that they came home, they ate in the sukkah. So he says, aim boning. They didn't build a sukkah in the Beit HaMikdash. Now, could they build their own? It's a machlokas, the Rambam and the Ravid, and some people say in the Ezras Noshim they had a sukkah for some of them, but the bottom line is that they did not have a sukkah
Why not mitzvah?
in the Beit HaMikdash.
It was no mitzvah?
It was a mitzvah, but the Beit HaMikdash was different. They had to eat everything in the Azorah, and you couldn't simply go ahead and just build whatever you wanted. The Beit HaMikdash was very specific. Are women obligated to eat in the sukkah? Our minhag is yes. Ashkenazim do. There are different opinions. Some people say yes, some people say no. But we say that a sukkah is supposed to be like your house. And just like in the house, families eat together, so also a sukkah, families eat together. So the minhag is that families eat together in the sukkah. Have a good night, everybody.
Good man, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.